Perfect. So, welcome to Coffee Connect, everybody. I'm Roddy. I'm the host here. It is all about making connections and building those connections and relationships across the United States and across the world. When we have our world partners with us today, we don't have anybody from outside the US, I don't think, but occasionally we get those folks from Canada and from UK and Poland. And Habib's been joining us from Pakistan over the last couple months and stuff. So, build those relationships, right? So we can all help each other grow and learn together, right? And so if you enjoy the conversation, I urge you, right? This has been working for the most part, I think. Email me at ccinfo@addictedtoconnecting.com, right? And I'll gladly add you to the invite list so you can continue to get the invite on a weekly basis. Feel free to screenshot that if you need. There he is. Now we're international officially today, right? With Habib joining us. So thanks for joining us, buddy. And so as well, guys, you can always go back to the website. We do record, we do post this to our YouTube channel, right? And if you want to go back and go, what were they talking about at this point in time in this conversation today, or any of the conversations that we've had over the last 5 years, really, that we've recorded, right? You can always go back to the website, find your link to the YouTube channel, right? So that you can listen in on those conversations. And so today's conversation, as I was sharing before you guys came in, it really came into play because it seems like with all the chaos that's happening in the world and with the job market being the way it is and the stock market being the way it is and all of this stuff happening, right? Uh, there are times that we come across people that maybe say they stand for one thing, right? But maybe their actions don't show that as well, right? I think we've all probably had that happen. In fact, we've probably all done it ourselves, right? At some point in time, maybe we didn't realize that what we were doing was conflicting with who we were trying to say we were, right? And so I am a firm believer, right, that great leaders start with great character, right? And the fact that character bleeds through in everything that you do. That's who we see you to be. That's who we see that we want to be around or be led by, as well, whether it be leaders in our businesses or whatever else, as well our friends and the people that we get together with on a networking event or whatever else, right? We want to understand who are you, what do you stand for, right? And how can I rely on that to be true week in and week out, right? And so I think character, this quote that was in there, character is what you do when no one is watching. We often refer to that as integrity as well, but I truly believe, right? Uh, you should be who you are at all costs every time, right? And it's okay to defend your position as long as you're open to hearing others' positions too, right? And so today we're going to kind of walk through some exercises defining what character is, why character is so important in our leaders, what we can do if we're not already doing these things to help build strong character within ourselves and within our teams and stuff like that, right? And how we incorporate our character into our life, right? If we get time, we might go through some exemplary examples. I think there's enough right here in this room that I don't have to go through the history of the world to talk about what examples are. One of the reasons why this came into play too was, how many of you guys have watched The House of David lately? It's on Netflix. It's been a great series. Obviously, everybody knows the story of David and Goliath and stuff, but the way they portrayed it in this movie, right, is that people didn't look to David to be the person that he was, right? Other than who? God, right? That was it. Everyone looked at him as he was the shepherd. Go watch after the sheep, and they didn't look at him as the king. They definitely didn't look at him as a warrior. And I think the Netflix series does a great job of portraying this young, meek individual, right? Humble for sure, from his happenings, but not understanding the courage that he had within him from one thing, right? All of that courage evolved from one thing in his life, and that was his faith, right? And I think we all have things in our lives, right, that help build our character and the foundation of what we are and who we are and what we do and things like that. And so I want to go straight to a breakout room, right? We're going to shuffle these up a little bit and talk about how do you define character, right? And it says in your professional life, hopefully your professional life is not different than your personal life, right? We're all one person, Okay. And then if you've got examples about how your character maybe has influenced tough decisions in the past, right? And so I'm gonna, you can take a second or screenshot that if you need to, right, to understand what the topic is. I can put that out into the breakout room as well. Let me shuffle these up a little bit so that we're talking to different people. Recreate. I think we have 10 minutes on this. It's 10:12, guys. I will see you guys back here in 10 minutes. Do an introduction round for everybody so everybody knows who everybody is, what you're doing. And then we will get everybody back in here in 10 minutes and share what we've learned. There we go. We're waiting on a couple people. Rooms are empty. Perfect. So, man, guys, like, what doesn't go into this, right? And what are the big foundational factors that help you develop your character over time, as well see others, right, for who they might be? Some of y'all got some answers out there. Come on, guys. This is a share time, by the way. This is like where everybody unmutes and just feel free to throw it out there, right? I mean, I'll start.
Zach, please share yours.
Who'd you say, Lamar?
Zeph asking her to share her.
Oh, well, I shared in the group with the gentleman earlier about, and Dave helped to come up with one word with this, which is genuine, right? Genuinism. So for me, I said, as a leader, I find a character of a leader who really knows how to show up as him or herself is very important, because in challenging times, if I don't know who I am as a leader, I can be easily swayed in a tough situation just because it's expected of me. And you know what? There is no way, twists and turns, that people can't pick this up. Our audience, our connections, they pick it up when it's not genuine, because you're like not living and not speaking from the truth. And you're like, there's going to be a, a contrast, in how I show up. So I think it's really important as a leader to show up as who you are and be genuine about it, like Dave says, because if I don't know who I am, therefore I can't lead, because then I'm going to show up as an imposter. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, to add to that, I would say another, when you say genuine, that's great, that's good. Another one is being authentic, to yourself. And when you do work with people, they can pick up on it, just like you're saying. If you're playing charades or you're playing the game, it's hard for people to build trust in you. And if you are authentic and you're being straightforward with your team, I think that helps a lot, and the team dynamics are just so much better.
Rodney, you always say every person, when they enter a room, they either bring energy into it or they take it out. And I think that is something, I think there should be a sign like above every office door, office building door, before people enter. It's just, for better or for worse, you're making an impact when you enter a dynamic like that. So
I would say there should be a tattoo on your forehead, a plus or a minus. I bring the energy or I suck it out. It's just
some people that might vary day to day or hour to hour, right? But crazy, Jeff, is we used to have that as part of our orientation, right? The guy that gave our orientation used to say that, right? There is no neutrality. You're either adding or you're taking away. And that's really where I kind of picked that up from. And I was like, man, he's so right, right? And the cool thing is, guys, it's our choice, right? It's our choice. Right?
It's like when you go to a networking event, right, Rodney? You walk into a room, you'll start seeing, like, if you're being Moses, where you open up the room, people run away from you, or do you see people coming to you? That's a great example to know if you're the beacon of light or you're just bringing darkness into the room. So there you go. Because I've seen that in rooms.
What, I showered.
So one of the biggest things we talked about, and we were hitting on it a lot, and Tom had actually a great example, right? It was integrity, right? And that is a huge foundation. Sherry and I served together in the Navy and the nuclear world, both of us, and one of the foundational principles in the nuclear world is integrity, right? And because a supervisor or somebody higher than you can't always be looking over your shoulder throughout the entire engine room and throughout the entire ship when you're turning valves or turning switches or whatever else, right? And so integrity was imperative. And so it was implicit also that when I was talking to another nuke engineer on the ship, right, that listen, everything that was coming out of their mouth was the truth. And so understanding that with people and where they stand on the levels of these characteristics, these ethics, these morals, right, and the values that we hold dear, helps whether, like Zeph said, either we're attracted to those people or we're repelled, right? What else, guys? I'm gonna keep going, but feel free to share it if you've got more. Go ahead and unmute. I'm gonna go back to my screen.
I'll hop in real quick.
Go for it, Tanya.
Another big one of that kind of came to me was when I was doing some work with the local chamber of commerce. The president of the group, basically he said, if you're going to commit to something, you got to commit to it and you got to do it. That's how people know that they can rely on you. That's how you build trust. That's how you do all these things. And so when you've got somebody in a conversation, they said, oh yeah, I'll do this and that. Sometimes I think, well, will they really? And when they do, you go, okay, well, now that we've got somebody that we know that they're going to follow through on what they're doing. And if they kind of drop off the map, well, that's just kind of unfortunately, a little bit of a tick to their characteristics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, there are lots of things, and guys, I'm not going to go through every one of these slides, right? Obviously, honesty, integrity, empathy, resilience are all things that are important, I think, when we start to talk about character and understanding someone's character as well. Most importantly, understanding our character, right, and what's important to us. And we understand that there are going to be things that come into our lives every once in a while and challenge what our belief might be within that character, right, and how we act or react to things, right? But I think it's important to also just be open to listening to those other people and other perspectives, right? Ethics come into play, obviously defining the values that we have. And then, as I said earlier, it's always our choice, right? It's always our choice how we're going to respond, how we're going to act towards, or how we're going to continue to emphasize what we believe in over just sitting by idly to what others believe in. And so it's important also to understand that there's a difference between character and personality, right? Someone can have a great personality. They can be very friendly and boisterous and forthcoming in appearance, but that doesn't mean that they are. Right. And so we have to understand that there are differences, because how many of you guys have walked into a room and you take note of someone because maybe they're the loudest person in the room, right? Or maybe they're the ones making the most laughter in the room, or whatever it might be, right? That is personality, right? That is not character. Right. And I hold judgment on character, right, until I truly get a chance to say, hey, Karen, let's sit down one-on-one and learn about you. Right. Hey, Steve, I think we should have coffee together and get a chance. And now you can really ask the questions, right, of what's important to Steve and what's important to Rodney and what's important to Pete, so that we can truly understand what their character is. And we can be attracted to personalities. That doesn't mean that we're going to like or align with their character.
Rodney, there was a guy I used to work for. Everybody said, oh, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. It's like, yeah, he was a great guy as long as you didn't have to work for him.
Yeah. Most of you would know that, man, I had a coffee thing this morning, meeting this morning with a guy who's actually, we've been friends for a while. He's been on here a couple times. And he's leaving Cincinnati. He's moving back to Atlanta. But like he walked in, And it's just natural that our relationship, even though we've only known each other for a couple years, that we give each other a hug, right? I mean, Jill and I, we met for the first time, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, right? And we gave each other a hug because I think, you know, that's part of our personality, but it's also part of my character to know or let you know that, man, I truly care about you, right? And I truly want to see success in your life and things like that, right? And so we're going to keep moving on here because we it's easy to get tied down with one piece. So character and leadership, right? As I mentioned before, I think we've all had things come into play that, whoops, went the wrong way, sorry, right? That we've not only seen in ourselves, but maybe things that we've valued in the people that have led us, right? Accountability. I feel no better in my life when someone over me says, hey, how many appointments did you get for the week? What did you do for the month, right? And we're fortunate we have weekly accountability calls and stuff like that to help us go and stuff. But they also say, hey, I understand things have been going rough, right? That things are not exactly where you want to be in this job search or your transition, right? But and I can understand how you feel, and they give me the support and empathy that I need, right? Also, leaders that are decision makers, right? I asked my wife this a couple weeks ago, right? Because it seems lately here she's just like, yeah, whatever you want to do. Oh, give me a decision, right? I don't want to have to make all the decisions, right? I don't think any of us go especially when you're in a relationship or a partnership with someone, right? You don't want to be the one making all the decisions because we want everyone being equally satisfied in the results and everything that comes out of it, right? And so, but also we want leaders that can make decisions, right, when they need to be made, and include others when it's appropriate, right? Obviously, integrity and honesty is huge in building trust between people, right? As well as setting the ethical standards within the organization, within the team, within just the relationship of two people. And so I think character goes a long way to helping to provide the organizational culture that we want, right? And I can't, and Sherry and I, you know, like I said, I've been on Enterprise 3 times, guys. And so sometimes I get lost on when we served with each other or whatever, but I've had good leaders and I've had bad leaders. And I think that character of the leader sometimes sets the tone, right, for the entire organization, right? And so we have to understand how all of that comes to play. I've been in situations where I could have 150 guys working for me. They could be all of the right character and same alignment and everything else, but that one leader is just off on his own tangent or her tangent, right? And it runs amok throughout the whole thing, right? Throughout the whole team and organization. And so all of these things come to play, not only in our personal lives, but within our business lives, within our leading teams and things like that, right? And so breakout number 2, guys, we're going to go to another one. And I want to talk about like what factors that you truly feel have influenced your character over time. And most importantly, I want to understand, have you ever been challenged? Has your character ever been challenged? Right? I don't want to say questioned, but I want to say challenged. What did you do to fortify your beliefs, your principles, right? To stay true to obviously who you are. And have you ever had an event that maybe changed some of those foundational aspects of your character and ultimately the way you thought, right? And so screenshot that. I'm going to stop sharing. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. I was folding my hands like I didn't have anything to do, but I knew I had to unmute myself too. Still waiting for one more. He must be having a hard time trying to exit the room. Oh, here they come. Wait a minute. There we go. There we go. So perfect. Guys, man, I think we talked about it in the first group that this was a great topic. And in the second group, I think we just kind of continued on. But what have you had that challenge you? I mean, we had a couple examples in our room as far as things that have challenged us over the years. I gave an example of an injury that occurred when I was at a company, and didn't think nothing of it at the time. Later on that night, when my hand was the size of a baseball, right, I was like, oh, I should probably go to urgent care. And obviously, they weren't real happy that I was going to go to the urgent care 5 minutes from my home. They wanted me to drive 40 minutes to the other side of Cincinnati to go to urgent care next to the office or next to the facilities because, well, they probably had their hands in the pocket of the PA at that urgent care, right? And so, and it definitely made me realize that not everybody operates at the same level of values, right? From an integrity standpoint and things like that, that you may, right? So what examples did you guys come across? Nobody. Everybody's like, my company.
I'll share a thing. There was actually a thing in a job review once that I was told that I give the unvarnished truth. And they didn't like that I gave the unvarnished truth. And I was like, well, my mom and dad taught me to be honest and taught me to, say things that kind of needed to be said. And so, for that manager basically anymore, I would say, how is this part of the project going? I wouldn't take ownership of that anymore. And then once the manager saw what was going on, they kind of changed their tune and said, well, you probably need to step back in there a little more and, not necessarily wait for me to have to deal with that. And it was like, but that's, now in the job coaching I do now, there's this one guy, he will actually come to me and say, Joe Bender, I like it that you give me the unvarnished truth because sometimes I really need to hear that. It helps me move forward in my job search.
Absolutely. Right. I think there are some people that just appreciate that in the world, Joe. I will tell you my biggest career change happened because my captain at the time said, you're the person that's going to tell me that things are all jacked up, right? That you ain't going to come in here and fluff it up for me and make it look all pretty. You're going to tell me when I'm jacked up, right? And for sure, that's what people need sometimes, right? And truth is hard sometimes, but when you embrace it and try to figure out what's my solution beyond that, right? It is so much better.
Yeah, there was a story when Alan Mulally left Boeing to go to Ford that they had lost like $3.5 billion the year before. And the first time they went around the table, he said, how's everything going in your area? Oh, everything's going fine. Everything's going fine. Everything's going fine. Everything's going fine. Because nobody wanted to say anything. He says, gentlemen, we lost $3.5 billion last year. Somebody better come to me next week with a problem. And it's like basically, stop trying to fluff me. We lost $3.5 billion last year. Somebody better come to me next week with a problem that we have to fix.
Yeah.
And the following week, they all came with a problem.
Zeph, what you got? Did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something which I think will piggyback to what Joe's saying here, but it's something to add on is this, right? This is big because this is like one of my latest, like, like aha moments is like a big part of being a leader in these days, in these times that we live in, is really, if we're gonna give somebody upfront, straight up something, the truth, is knowing how to communicate it effectively. Because the things that we never know who we're dealing with, what kind of backgrounds or traumas or experiences they're going through at the very moment, because it can be like a very, very, what should I say? It could be a very revealing, conversation. So be mindful about our communication, how we relay the message or how we relay the truth is important as a leader. That's, I think, how, being authentic and genuine plays into that part of things, being a good leader. Because sometimes I've seen some leaders on like the way they shout at their fellow team members, it just like scares the heck out of me. I'm like, do not speak to people like that, because you never know. you know, what they're going through. So just always be mindful when we communicate the truth. And that's all that I always share with my own network.
Yeah, and so it's important to not just say it's only about integrity and it's only about it's because you got to have all of these things,
Correct.
right? Having an empathetic approach to delivering that counseling or whatever else, right, is going to go much further in the long run. Dave, we haven't heard from you today, man.
And you're not going to.
We
Dave
just
has no
did.
character.
I would be out of character if I did.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So when I was working down at NPR part-time, here's the message that they give now. And this is my personal belief, is that when they deliver the message, it's the complete opposite of the yelling. It's, I really appreciate you. Oh my God, I can't tell you. And I worked with a bunch of very young reporters. It's amazing how they want to fluff it up when they're asking you to do something. And I come from the era where not all, but the yelling was on the radar. And it's like, just do the job, just get it done. So I think there has to be a balance, is what I'm pointing out, that you don't need to sugarcoat it like, you know, they're two, but certainly not yelling, because that is unproductive. And it's quite honestly a hostile work environment, you know?
And I want to say something in defense of myself. In the things that I would tell people, I never swore and I never yelled. It's just I would tell them, you know, it's like this part of the whatever, you know, we had to fix this, and that was supposed to be your responsibility. And then they would just go crying to the manager, and it was like,
That's what they do. They do. They
Yeah.
all run and say he was mean to me or she was mean.
yeah, it's like,
Go change your diaper and then come back. Yeah, I have no patience for that because I think it's ridiculous.
mhm.
So, when we're
May I ask
looking
a
at these
question,
things, right?
Mr. Rod?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry for cutting you off.
No, go ahead, Habib.
My question is that in one of the slides, there was like a heading on personality fluctuations. So I want to get all of you guys, your insights about how these personality fluctuations can have an impact on your character, whether it's on your personal life or on your professional life.
Anybody?
Definitely something to be aware of if you're ever going to get out in front of it. So first things first, we probably need other people to make us aware of it. Jeff, your personality fluctuates. Jeff, your emotions, you know, ride really high and during tense moments. So chances are I'm not just going to wake up one day and realize it on my own, in all likelihood. That's probably my contribution.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you so
I
much,
think
Mr.
often,
Jeffrey.
Habib, you know, I mentioned this at the beginning. I said, listen, our professional lives and our personal lives, right? They should be the same. But I think often we do kind of go, oh, well, this is my work and this is my home. Right. And I think if you're trying to live that way, right, you start to get confused kind of what your true values might be, right? And
Yes.
oh, was that my work thing or was that my home thing, or is somewhere are they crossing over or whatever? So I think at some point you have to figure out, how do I get all of these things to align so that it's one me and one belief and one system that I trust in, right? As far as myself. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Mr.
All right,
Rodney.
Rodney, you got me.
Yes!
You had to do that. Habib, I would argue your personality never really changes. It's how you are looking at the situation. And for instance think about your situations. The people you're closest to, you probably take more chances, or you do more stupid things with, because with strangers, you're more on, I need to understand and learn, but you're comfortable. Your comfort nature with people tends to mean that you may stretch, not necessarily character issues, but trust issues or demands or other types of things. I've noticed that long-term employees, spouses, you tend to just make assumptions and do things differently than you do. But I would argue back to the personality. It may be your emotions, it may be other things. Your personality is who you are. Much like your you can change character and grow character, but you are pretty much aligned with, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm a this, I'm a that. And that's where the communication part that Rodney said minutes ago is so critical. When you understand that Jeff has unique things, that Dave has unique things, you can deal with them. Sometimes you may take them for granted and go all overboard, but I think that's really the issue. My biggest problem is if I'm comfortable with somebody, I may just not take them for granted, but not do all the same things I do with somebody at meeting the first time in a breakout room.
Yeah, and I agree. Your personality is you. It is, for sure.
Rodney, so I'm sorry I keep talking, but I put in the chat, again, that management by strengths. I'm telling you, it is a game changer on how to deal with different personalities, because you cannot change them, but you can change your delivery of how you do it. And I've used it for 30 years, even in interviewing. I knew what color they were, so I knew how to control me, because you can't change them. And there's a really funny story that I did at a stress seminar that someday I'll share, because it defines the red, blue, green, yellow. It's a really funny story.
Perfect. Guys, great conversations today, right? I mean, and the strength, leading by strengths, right? Good news is on April 22nd, somebody's going to be here to talk about our strengths, right? Do you want to give us a little bit of a preview for that, Joe?
Hello, everyone. Jill McCarthy. So yes, I am a Gallup certified strengths coach. So we will be talking about what your superpowers are, and actually, kind of what Nancy was talking about, how to understand what other people's superpowers are. And then how do you use that to communicate, to connect, and to also to collaborate.
And guys, Joe was so kind enough to give us opportunities to do Clifton Strengths and our Gallup polls. There's a discount code in there, coffee. I think I copied that in there. Yeah. If you use the code coffee, you're going to receive a 10% discount on your Clifton Strengths. That's in the chat. Feel free to copy that over, save the chat and see that. Moving on to, as we're wrapping up today, new folks here. We got 3 new folks. If we do 3 new folks a year, right? 50 weeks a year, that's 150 new folks, right? What's our goal for the year?
Million.
A week. Right, over 700 by March, over 700 by next March. Right, so starting us off, Pete, you're unmuted. We'll let you go ahead.
Yes, Pete Stungeese. I am a project program manager, new product development, originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Went to Fort Collins for a couple of years, and I am now in downtown Chicago. Nice to meet you guys.
Mr. Steve.
Hi everyone. Steve Levan. I'm a mechanical engineer, new product design, mostly medical device, Akron, Ohio. Glad to meet everybody.
Awesome, Steve. And last but not least, brought to us by Jill, Mr. Tom Johnson. You unmute.
I thought I clicked it. It probably what I muted myself. Anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity. Tom Johnson, I've got my own HR consulting firm. I'm going to probably have to retool that. I was told the consultant is a bad name now, so it has to be advisor or something else like that. So we'll work on that one. But really enjoyed the conversations, and I look forward to seeing you all again.
Tom, will I see you Thursday?
Yes, you will.
Okay. We're in the beautiful Natty. Cincinnati.
Yep. Yeah, for all the Cincinnati people, join us at Wiedemann.
Awesome, guys. Hey,
4 o'clock on Thursday.
Well, I'll stick around for a little while afterwards for anybody who wants to sit around and chat. If you've got somebody you want to have a one-on-one with, stick around. We'll create some conversation or create a breakout room so you can go off and kind of hopefully get that scheduled for yourselves. If you haven't linked up on LinkedIn, we can make that happen. Again, great conversations. I appreciate every one of you guys. We got big goals for the rest of this year, all the way out to March 31st of next year, right? That we're going to achieve, not only for Coffee Connect, but for you, your lives, your business. So go out there and have a great week.